At a time when viral hits come and go like flashes in a pan, and the industry is obsessed with what's trending in the moment, Kendrick Lamar is doing something rare, something that not even some of the most commercially successful artists in the world can claim. He's pulling his entire catalog back into the spotlight. While most rappers are fighting just to keep their latest singles afloat, Kendrick Lamar is quietly climbing back up the charts, not with one project, not with a handful of loose tracks, but with 4 different albums simultaneously making moves in the United Kingdom. Welcome to celebrity rap life, where the red carpets never roll up and the spotlight never fades. The rewards are legendary. Because in celebrity rap life, every downfall can become a comeback, and every headline tells a deeper story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next. It's the kind of feat that speaks not just to the quality of his work, but to the cultural weight of his music. This isn't a flashback driven by nostalgia or a viral TikTok trend boosting one song. This is sustained interest in a discography that continues to grow deeper and more relevant with time. As his latest project, GNX, begins to make its mark globally, fans are going back, revisiting, re-listening, and in many cases, rediscovering the full breadth of Kendrick's evolution as an artist. And while the buzz around recent hits may be fading on the surface, what's happening beneath the radio plays and streaming playlists tells a much more powerful story. In the latest update to the official hip-hop and R&B albums chart in the UK, 4 Kendrick Lamar albums are not only present, they're rising. That's not just a win, it's a statement. And the timing couldn't be more poetic. Just as conversations begin to shift away from the "not like us" moment that dominated headlines earlier this year, fans are now doubling down on the long view, on the albums that built Kendrick's legacy from the ground up. The most recent chart data shows GNX climbing to the number 6 position, giving it a renewed boost after spending nearly half a year moving across international charts. What makes this even more notable is that it's joined by To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick's 2015 magnum opus, which now sits just one slot below at number 7. The fact that these 2 albums, released a decade apart, are occupying back-to-back spots inside the top 10 is a rare sight in modern music. It's not just an anomaly, it's a reflection of longevity. But the resurgence doesn't stop there. Good Kid, Mad City, arguably the defining debut of the 2010s, is still holding on with serious strength. Now sitting at number 21, it continues to rise, climbing 2 spots in just the last week. The album, which was first released in 2012, has now spent over 10 years appearing on this very chart. That kind of endurance is practically unheard of for a hip-hop record, especially one that had to fight for its place when it first dropped. And yet, here it is, over a decade later, still climbing, still resonating, and still reaching new listeners. Then there's Damn, Kendrick's Pulitzer Prize-winning project from 2017. It jumps from number 36 to number 33, showing that even his more recent work is being pulled back into focus. Each of these albums represents a different chapter in Kendrick's journey, from the vivid storytelling of Compton youth in Good Kid, to the dense political poetry of To Pimp a Butterfly, to the raw introspection of Damn, and now the layered experimentation of GNX. The fact that all 4 are making gains on the same chart at the same time is nothing short of remarkable. Notably absent from the chart this week is Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, the introspective double album that signaled his final bow with Top Dog Entertainment. Although it once reached number 1, it has temporarily dropped off. Still, its absence feels less like a failure and more like a setup. If the current pattern continues, it's entirely possible Mr. Morale could re-emerge in the coming weeks as fans complete their tour through Kendrick's evolving sound. What this chart movement reveals isn't just the staying power of a few old albums. It's a reflection of a fan base that's more engaged with the entirety of Kendrick's message than ever before. In a streaming age where attention spans are fractured and loyalty is often fleeting, Kendrick Lamar is commanding not just ears but minds, across time, across albums, and across different generations of hip-hop listeners. And while the official hip-hop and R&B albums chart paints the clearest picture, there are signs elsewhere that Kendrick's reach continues to extend. GNX, for instance, also holds on at number 93 on the official physical albums chart in the UK, meaning it's not just getting streamed, people are still going out and buying physical copies. That's a rare feat for any hip-hop artist in 2025, especially in a market where physical album sales have become nearly obsolete. None of his other records are currently appearing on that chart, but the fact that GNX is making that crossover at all says something about its artistic value and the loyalty of Kendrick's audience. Still, it's what's not on the charts that might be just as telling. While these 4 albums rise, and GNX barely clings to a secondary chart position, many of Kendrick's singles, including recent smashes from the same album, are starting to slide. The short-term attention that once surrounded tracks like Euphoria, Not Like Us, and Dark Room Freestyle seems to be cooling off. They're not vanishing entirely, but they're no longer dominating the way they did earlier in the year. And that's okay. Because what Kendrick is building, or rather, what's being rebuilt right now, isn't hype. It's legacy. It's a recentering of attention on the albums, rather than just the tracks that fueled conversation. That shift marks a deeper form of influence, one that few artists in any genre get to experience in real time. Kendrick Lamar isn't just hot. He's relevant in the truest sense of the word. And that relevance extends far beyond whether his name is trending on Twitter, or if a diss track tops the Billboard Hot 100. There's also a larger context to consider here. This moment of re-engagement with Kendrick's discography isn't happening in a vacuum. It's unfolding as universities add hip-hop courses centered around his work. It's unfolding as Gen Z and even Gen Alpha listeners dig back into old albums, not because of nostalgia but because the subject matter still hits. From racial identity to systemic injustice, mental health, personal accountability, and spiritual awakening, Kendrick's work continues to speak to the moment, even when that moment keeps changing. The UK audience in particular has long had a unique relationship with Kendrick's music. Historically more open to experimental and lyrically dense hip-hop than the US Top 40, British fans have often embraced albums like To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn, with a kind of reverence. But this current surge feels different. It feels like the broader population, not just hip-hop heads, is now investing in the full Kendrick experience. Whether it's in record stores, Spotify playlists, or university lecture halls, Kendrick is now being treated less like a chart-topping rapper and more like a cultural institution. This moment also disrupts the narrative that an artist is only as valuable as their latest release. With Kendrick, the opposite seems to be true. Each new release doesn't eclipse the last, it resurrects it. GNX didn't just drop, it triggered a ripple effect that reached all the way back to Section .80 and forward again into the present. Every era is now in conversation with the others, and fans are responding by re-evaluating everything, not just reacting to what's new. Even from a strategic perspective, this widespread engagement with 4 different albums makes Kendrick almost untouchable. It gives him leverage, not just in terms of streaming numbers but in terms of cultural presence. He doesn't have to drop singles every month to stay relevant. He doesn't have to post constantly or manufacture drama. His discography does the work. His music builds its own narrative, and fans follow that story across multiple albums at once. That's something the industry isn't built to handle. Most charts are designed to track linear success. One album drops. It does well or it doesn't. Then the next comes along and replaces it. Kendrick's catalog isn't obeying that pattern. It's looping back and forth, pulling energy from every direction. It's a vortex of artistic momentum. And what's more, this might just be the beginning of another cycle. As the Grand National Tour continues to make its way through Europe later this summer, chances are that Kendrick's presence in the UK charts will only grow. Fans who see the show will go home and re-listen. They'll pull out the vinyl. They'll revisit songs they overlooked. And more albums, maybe even Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, will re-enter the charts. So while the singles may fade and the viral moments slow down, something bigger is happening. Something slower, yes, but deeper. Kendrick Lamar is entering a phase of his career that most artists never reach. The phase where every album counts, where the catalog becomes the statement, and where the artist is no longer defined by what's new but by what endures. 4 albums. 1 chart. A decade-spanning body of work. And it's all moving upward. That's not just a trend. That's legacy in motion. This story is far from over, and the truth is still unfolding. I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments. And if you don't want to miss the next twist, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next.